Evening all. I think that's going to be a little bit loud, but a little bit later than I planned. I only literally got home 10-15 minutes ago. I want to get an hour or two in on this. I did spend a little time this morning. I couldn't resist. I picked it up and went in and tweaked this. The smoothing's gone a little bit weird, but I'm going to subdivide it and smooth it properly again later. But if I, to recap yesterday, I made the bottom of the boat hull, or I started tweaking the bottom of the boat hull. Didn't like it. The best way to describe it is I just blew it away and started again. If I change the light angle, you might sort of get a better view at this. There is a very pronounced crease on the real thing, and you can see it there. So I'm a lot happier with the way that one's coming out. So there's still some tweaking to do there. I need to do the windows and the doors, but I want to do the sponsons tonight. If I go and look at the old model, there we go. So we are going to essentially recreate what we've got here, but in perhaps a little bit more detail. I am going to grab what I've made before just so I can isolate it and use it for reference. I'm not interested in copy and pasting because, again, these models, for those that didn't watch the first bit or didn't see the bit with me waffling, are the same models that are in VBS or were in VBS. So I want to kind of cut away the any commercial tie with the IP there. So, and besides which, they're incredibly low poly by comparison to modern standards. Sorry, the power cable for my headset is twisted up, and it's really annoying me. So, yeah, spent the day doing a seminar. I was teaching, and it ran a little bit longer than planned, so it took me a little bit longer to escape and get home. Anyway, right, so we've created a ref sponson, so I'm going to move it up the tree just because I don't want to mix anything that we make there, and I can just quite easily just go up and turn it on and off. But if we turn the left side view back on and go to left side, right side view, we'll just see how accurate my old model was. And it doesn't appear to be too bad. The scaling's a bit off and whatever, so I'm not unhappy about that. I think we're gonna have a little bit of a tweak. I don't remember what I used as reference back then, but I'm pretty sure it would have been like a three view sort of Jane's drawing. Let's just go down to this. UK Westland Seaking. It was either one of these sort of books or like a Jane's copy or something. I harvest as much anything that I can find online. I will immediately try and like copy and use. Right, so let's actually make something. Let's do something useful. I'm going to turn that sponsor reference off because I don't want to exactly remake what I did before. So I'm going to create a mesh box. Let's go to front view. Right. So what I want to do is I am literally just going to create the profile, and we're gonna loop the profile. We're gonna use that profile to make the sponson. I'm gonna like extrude it through basically and arc it. I've just had another thought. Sorry, before I do that, the trick to this is making it controlled. There's a couple of ways I can do it. So what I want to do, what I'm going to do, is I am just going to rough out these boxes, just to sort of follow the profile. And there is method to the madness. A lot of what how I do things is essentially scaling loops. I don't know if it's the best technique. I've yet to actually work that little bit out. But what I tend to do, things like this anyway, is just make it out of boxes and then bevel it down and adjust those bevels. So what I can do, or what I'm going to do, is once I've roughed out the shape, because these are boat hulled as well, if I remember rightly anyway. That's the links. Seaking. I was having a little bit of a debate with myself whether I should scrap it tonight and just do the links, but see what I said when these are boat hulled, they're essentially a D shape with a slightly convex bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that arc line there, which is the edge of the sponson, there's a couple of ways I can do this to get a proper arc, and I don't know why I'm doing it like this. This is classic me. Start doing something and I realise there's a better way to actually get what I want. So, plane, curve slice. Let's do another curve slice. Right, so that's given me a shape. I don't know how many verts is on that. Odds are it's going to be quite a lot. Okay. So what I'm going to do is go back to my front view. And go polygon extrude. And this is where it gets a little bit, because what I want to do is with this shape is to kind of explain where I'm trying to be a little bit better with this, is I want to essentially match that profile shape. Now if I go in here and grab these and scale, right, so if I scale this down, you can see it's all splitting at different angles. If I turn this on to demonstrate, so that the face isn't going to be consistent, it isn't going to move. So what I want to do, or what I need to do, is come to the right and I am going to literally just slice down. So this may be a little bit more long-winded than some people. But the madness of this will become apparent in a minute. There's people that'll do this out of loops. I mean, realistically, yeah, I probably could do this. No, I'm going to stick doing this. I'm not going to try and do it out of a sphere or a cylinder. And I'll explain that in a minute, because it's easier to show rather than describe. Come on. So as you come closer to a taper, because this is going to narrow down, you're going to want more slices, or more loops. Because you want to get a smoother curve. So, right, so we've now sliced all that up. So what I want to do, or what I need to do, is on this bottom edge, where there isn't where I've got like stray edges now. If I go into perspective view, you can see this a little bit better. So I need to essentially go in and select these. Go to edge, remove.
Charge complete.
It's an interesting track to stream to. Oh, crap. Okay, that's a relief. I just went to check me stream and realised, well, I thought I'd screwed up completely, and I'd paused the stream rather than on the browser. I thought I'd paused the stream, and I thought it was streaming. I paused it by accident. So I was panicking then, thinking I've just wasted the last however many 15 minutes explaining this, and I didn't want to do it again. Anyway, right, so you can see it, you can hear it. It is live. Right, so that should be us good to go. So what I'm going to do now is go to the top. And what I want, because that looks roughly symmetrical. So let's grab that. So I don't know whether this is actually going to let me do this. I can cheat, but I don't. It's not going to be pretty if I do. No, do it manually. What I was going to do was use deform. but that comes with problems in itself. I was just going to bend it, but the way that it bends is not always the ideal solution. And it kind of defeats the way that I'm trying to do, or what I want to do with this. So essentially, what I'm doing is creating a cage, and the reason for that cage is so that I can actually control. I've got a reference point, so I can control how much arc that I put into these. I will clean this up properly. Later, but right now it's not hugely important because so much of this is just going to be a frig. Actually, so I'm just laying a face down. So is the simple frig. If I do that, no, I'm being stupid. I am absolutely being stupid. There's an even easier way to do this. So let's grab that. So that's all the top faces we just grabbed there. So I'm going to go back into my working plane. I can delete that. I'm just going to flatten this now. So when I go back into the top, I'm going to expand it out again. So I'm thinking about how to get a smooth curve, yeah? So if we know that this is in the right position for the sponson on the side view. I'm choosing to believe that my side view is correct in terms of positioning, so I am just gonna adjust it to match the mesh. So what I'm doing is going to get this curve slice again. I'm going to grab that first snap point, gentle curve around the nose. I'm going to turn the snap off because it's going to start interfering. So if you remember, I was talking about yesterday loft points. This is kind of similar to that. Right, so if I trim those, I now have a nice clean arc that I can jump back onto this one, and if I turn the top off, you can now see that I can just literally scale all those in, or I can just pick them up and move them if I bring the tool properties in, as long as I only adjust the X. So this is just moving in the X, which is left and right, since we're in the top view, and not the Z or the Y. It's not deforming my shape, but it means that I get a generated smooth arc. So I'm not relying on my crappy eyesight to see whether or not it's a decent curve or not. And we are going to blend and subdivide these eventually, and then that's an entire adventure in polyflow and retopology. I again remind you that I am old and broken, so... Something not quite right there. I think I've missed a point somewhere. Something's not right anyway. Oh, duh. I'll be honest, I'm going to cut the nose off this anyway and replace it with a different arc later on, so it's not that big a deal.
Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us.
Don't know whether this is actually streaming live on Twitch either. I'm pretty sure I disabled it because I was having problems with a multi-stream, but I'll need to go and check on that later. It's not a big deal. The primary purpose of this really is, of all this, as I keep getting asked how I do certain things, and I don't always have the time to show or explain when it happens, and I thought it might be interesting to watch the process end to end, or at least my process. I don't know. As I keep saying in these, it's not necessarily the right way. It's just the way that I do it. A lot of it, you will discover I do wrong. and I freely admit that I screwed up, and I often go back and end up remaking things, which is why it frequently takes quite a bit of time for me to release something, because I'm not happy with it. I've made a lot of stuff for other teams over the years, and I've got credits on quite a lot of the sort of, well, sounds pompous to say it, but quite a lot of the major mods. And some of those are not necessarily my best work, because the brief for those has been, just give me something that will do this job. So, not always my greatest thing. Alright, so, we now have a rough shape of half a sponson. So I'm just going to get rid of these, turn that stuff off. Right. So, let's go whip, sponson, whip, cage. So, what I want to do is grab these edges. Now, just to make my life a little bit less complicated, I'm just going to grab the nose of this and get rid of it. Likewise, that bit. So let's turn these off as well, we don't need those. So I'm going to grab that edge. And what we've got working with is we have the cage, which is in the background, and it's in the black line. So that then gives me a reference. So what I can do is, when I grab the bevel tool, and let's put a few more in than we need. So by grabbing the bevel tool here, I can arc. Sorry. I've created like a standard width bevel, but you can see on the cage what I can do now is, if I come from the back, you should be able to see the verts there. So I am now using the cage point. I can now appropriately scale individual arcs and control their depth. So I can do this and change the depth of the arc to suit, because when I scale, I may want that to have a deeper curve in the y-axis, in the vertical axis, than is in the x-axis. So it just gives me a nice, easy way to control that consistently. Just a little tip, it may help, I don't know, it depends on your workflow. I should actually just be taking those all the way out, so Again, case in point. Let's just get rid of that interior face because we don't want it. Sorry. Right. So if I like white, sorry, I was in the back, wasn't I? Sorry. Duh. So I can now go backwards and forwards to my arcs. And individually customize them to suit whatever I've got left. There's just, like I say, it may be madness and other people may say do it, well, if you do it this way you can consistently do it. In the tools that I've got available in Modo and my twisted workflow, this is what works for me. You may have tools that allow you to do this in Blender in a more controlled way. I don't know, I've never really tried to work in Blender in anger. It's something I need to learn. I just want to do something a little bit faster than having to learn something every single step of the way. I'm just comfortable in Modo, so. Grumpy old man. It's like first time in about, I don't know, 6 months I've had to wear a suit, I think. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Random complaint there. Ties, again. Whoever invented them deserves to be like hung by a tie. Miserable, bloody creation. So I'm blissfully wandering around doing it. Yeah, it's all rounded, so I mean, you can see, I don't know whether you can or not actually, but that profile is kind of squared there, and this is where I want to be able to control the arc. But I'm just going to keep plowing on and building, because the basic arc is the entire frame. It's the entire length of the pod, but if I go into perspective at the moment, because I don't have to do this from the back, you can see it gives me that basic shape anyway. So you can see as well, if you've been watching the numbers, quite a few of these arcs are at different values. So if we go to this, I'm just talking about how this makes it easier. What I'm trying to demonstrate is that it makes it easier. So let's say that's 394.5. What I just took there. 393. If I grab this next one. See, that one's 385 this time. So I kind of, if I'd have gone through and done all of this manually, I would be here all night. So I appreciate I am kind of manually tweaking these, but it's a lot less work. So we do have a little bit of a drift, but that's kind of not a huge surprise to me. By the time I've finished, it won't be a big deal anyway. Or it shouldn't be. I think I've just dropped a clanger there. No? Okay. I was chatting to somebody last night, and they were kind of taking the piss about the low number of streams, stream views. The entire point of this, it kind of came out of somebody on my Discord, Sir English, asking how I did something. So that's kind of why I decided I'd stream this. The entire point of it is to record it and put it up on, leave it on YouTube, so people can follow through and skip through, and if there's something there that helps them, great. If not, don't worry about it. Sorry about that. I don't care if nobody views it. I genuinely don't. Makes no difference to me whatsoever. Right, so again, if you remember, I said this is a boat hull. So I'm going to go back to the right view. And I'm just going to stick a point on there and scale this down a bit. see at the start of the boat hull. So if we go and look at a reference picture, you can see that it's the same principle as the bottom of the Seaking's hull anyway. Pretty sure I have a nice walk around. So that is actually a fairly consistent. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That looks about right. So what I need to do is I need to find a picture that shows really a little bit more detail of the sponson and the landing gear. It's one of the reasons I buy a lot of these model kits, and I rarely build them. Or if I do, it's so that I can actually see the way that everything shapes together. So it doesn't look like it's a huge draft down. So I'm going to go back to this, click on that. And I don't know what this is actually called, but I'm going to say it's like a sweep. It's a panel sweep or a line sweep. So we're getting the boat hull sort of vibe. So I'm going to grab that. And again, just using the cage. So by copying those lines, I've just made it more consistent. I'll ensure that those lines are actually consistent in terms of polyflow. So when we come back to this, so this is a hash 6CR, I think. Yeah. So it's a converted. It's a previous like naval version, and the CR stands for Commando Roll. So when they didn't have enough HC4 models, that bracket suggests it's a converted AWACS, but AEW rather. When they didn't have enough Commando models, and they were decommissioning some of the older like Seakings, like search and rescue Seakings, and like anti-submarine warfare Seakings, they literally just gutted some of the old airframes and converted them. So I'm just going to grab that edge and extend that as well. So I'm going to go top view. I will in a sec when I've got me pick point. Which I can do this from the no, top is going to be better. before I get errors creeping in, what I want to do is I'm going to grab all the verts on the sensor because I have, you can see, I've got some snags. That I haven't scaled properly. So I'm going to grab those. And this is where having the cage helps. I'm going to grab all of those. Those are faces. So we've got 29 polys there that aren't quite right. So I just deleted those. I'm going to snap onto the center line. So I've now cleaned up some of that. But you can see I've got a bit of a wobble or inconsistency. In the polygon flow, so I can just tweak that so it arcs a little bit nicer. So you can see here, that one's coming up short. And again, if I was just to flatten that to the right point, even without scaling it, you probably wouldn't see it, if I'm honest. It may come up as an error, but I just prefer to be a bit tidy and more precise. Right, so let's go back to fixing this. Right. So if we come back to the front view, I've either screwed up or the arc, the rate of arc has changed. So let's go to the right view. Sorry, I forgot left. Yeah. So I need to change my height. So again, this is where the cage comes in handy. So I've got a problem here. I am just going to ditch this one because this line is part of the problem I'm having. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab all these. I'm going to compress them down to a single point. Where are we? Because this is going to look sharp as hell, if I turn my cage off, space mouse, actually it doesn't look too bad, does it? It's a bit of a surprise. Right, what I'm going to do though is I am just going to add a bevel in. See what that does. You can see the normal's not quite, there's something not quite. The arc rate has changed, so it's not a happy bunny. So I'm going to back that out. I'm going to go back to bevel. I'm just going to add a single bevel in. So you can see where the way that the shading's changed here. It's because it's come out of the shading angle, which is set in the material. So I'm just going to do a mesh cleanup. So if I come down to this, we're in. So we're in the base material. So let's just go into properties. Let's come out a little bit lighter. There you are, pink. That's much easier to see. So I'm going to put my smoothing to 80. And change my smoothing angle to 30, so you can see along this line how it's all softening. So I just put up to 50 there, and you can see it's having a bit of an issue. But when I put on these, when I turn on weight by polygon area, I can fix this with control lines and things. And if I come into this edge here, turn that one off. Where's my control? Just put an ever so slight bevel. Let's actually put a chamfer into it because I've taken it out from the round level. So when we go into there, it looks a lot less. A lot less pinched. That is always going to be a problem because of the number of faces. So if we go back to left view, and I grab the edge, that slice. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to slide that down a bit. Same thing with that edge. So you can see it's now looking far less pinched. So if I really want to go to town, and I select that edge again, I can go back in and add a bevel. So it's actually going to be a fillet, but I'm essentially adding another set of loops in. It's vanished again. This is what I was talking about with pinch polygons the other day when we were looking at the top of the canopy of the Seaking. If you want to control a number of polygons, again I'm making this slightly more high poly than I need to now, but I'm just kind of doing it to prove a point. If you want to control the number of polygons you've got to consider how the polygons merge, because it gets to the point where it doesn't quite look right. Just to make my life a little bit easier, I'm just going to run a quick automatic unwrap, which is this. If I undo that, that's the mess that it was before. Just by using the unwrap tool, it is nice and quick. I can then grab all of these much easier than I could in 3D model space. I just do a quick UV, and I found that when I come to do like the proper UV further down the line, this just makes life easier. It's taken 30 seconds to do that. When I come to like try and split out the UVs again later on, geometry, duplicate, mirror, it's just easy to find them. So I've done this now, geometry, vertex, merge. So if I come back in here, and I just want to select and UV the underside, that's it. It's that simple. It's going to take a few seconds. That's a mess. There we go. I won't leave it like that, it's just easier as a selection. So if I go to the back, so what we have now at the back here is a bit of an awkward loop. You can see how it's let's clean up that edge actually. Right, so that should be a nice sharper edge. So let's grab the verts, go back into the right hand view. So at the back of these, it is actually quite rounded. There you go. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to grab all those edges. I'm going to extend them. Go switch to vertex, join all the verts together. And then I am going to select the topmost vert and join. So what that's done is now that's closed off all that back end face. So I'm going to grab all those faces. Geometry, polygon, merge. Right, so we've now got an end gun. But what I want is, I just wanted some way to bevel it. So I'm going to drop those bottom edges because I want a sharp edge at the bottom. I'm going to drop those on the side. I'm going to go to edge bevel. Round level 2 possibly. I've got some cleanup to do after this, but it shouldn't be that big a deal. So we'll go back to the right side. So that bottom edge fillet is causing a bit of a problem, but again, I don't want to have to go back and fix all of that, if I'm honest. So there's another way I can do this. Don't really want to do it this way, that's the problem. Because again, you get into scale issues. So, right. And again, this hurts my engineering soul. So much in 3D modeling is a cross between engineering and art. At least I prefer the engineering. I don't like bodging. This just wrong. But a lot of it is just tweaking until it looks right. It's not like there's a mechanical need for it to be in a certain shape, form, or whatever, as long as it looks right, at least for this, and it doesn't cause any sort of game engine problems or quirks with rendering and whatever. It's typically good enough, but I just, yeah, there's just something that about doing this kind of thing that really makes me feel very uncomfortable. So somehow, I'm just gonna nail it there. I'm just gonna grab all those verts. Not everything is centered for some reason. There's been some drift. You can see that at the top there. So I'm going to use that point as a center. I mean, you could go and make loops to your heart's content, but I don't think it's really going to make that much of a difference. Geometry, vertex, merge. This is not the same as join. Merge, just if things are if there's two verts co-located in the same model, in the same space, it'll just merge those two bits together. It will not join the points. I'll join the vertices. So that bugger needs joining to that one. That can be simplified up to that. Those are definitely merged. Right. Doesn't look too bad. There's a little bit of bunching. That appears to be visible. That's because of the change of rate of angle and the shading and rendering. I can kind of fix that by moving this up a bit and spreading the loops out a little bit more. So I'm going to grab that and shrink that in as well. Oh. So if you do a mesh cleanup again, so you're looking at this, face normal vectors, so this has changed how it's shading. 116 vectors have been changed. It's merged 16 verts that I'd missed before. Again, just housekeeping. It's good practice as you go along. There you go, that looks a lot nicer. It's amazing how much of a difference just moving a loop can be, or will make. Right, so I'm gonna dump my whip cage into my cuts group. I never delete a construction layer. If I kind of show you, so these are all little bits that I use to help make something. So there's objects in there as well. So we go. It just pays to keep them around just in case that you need to refer to them again later. So we're going to keep whip sponson. I'm going to create a new mesh item. And I am going to go right view. Now, I'm going to do the sponson arm. This is the next bit. These are an aerodynamic shape, and they are a pain in the arse because they blend at the top, and it's not a straightforward blend. And I've always done them as though they are, and I absolutely hate them. I hate doing things like this. Excuse me. So what I am going to do is just grab the hull part here. Now, there's a couple of ways to do this, and this is perhaps not the best way. Yeah, let's not do this on that face at the moment. The pad is projected onto there. That is the distortion, the splat, for lack of a better description. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a form that allows me to mimic that shape and cut it out. Sorry, I just got a text message from one of my sock puppets, one of my students. Sorry, I shouldn't call them sock puppets, but they tend to sit there and spew other people's ideas at me, and I find it both annoying and amusing that they don't seem to be able to, or they're not thinking for themselves at this stage, hence the sock puppet phrase. It's not very nice, and I definitely shouldn't use it, but it is rather accurate. And I have said it to the faces because part of what I'm teaching is critical thinking, so, and problem solving. Right, so I'm just going to go back and merge these faces. The reason I'm merging the polygon at the moment into an n-gon is it doesn't like to be beveled when there's triangles. There's all sorts of other weird and wonderfuls coming up. I'm going to try and do these as a consistent size, but I don't think that's going to let me do it. Oh. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that, actually. Let's take out that edge, because we don't want it. So... what are we dealing with? How many... so that's 26 polygons. So if I take 2 out of that, that's 24. I can deal with that. That's good. Just going to turn that sponsor off. Right, so what I want to do is this represents the hull profile. And what I want to do is I'm going to use the shape that I've just made as a contact point and slide it through. And I'm just going to bring that hull plate forward. So hull pad. And cut. So if I turn these off, you should be able to see it, right? So I'm going to go to geometry, boolean, solid drill, and slice. So that gives me the exact contact point on the model, which will become obvious why I need it in a moment. So the next bit, we're going to go to the front view. We're going to create a 24-sided 0.06 24. Rotate that 90 degrees in the X. So this, like being an aerodynamic shape, it's tapered like a wing. You can see. So what I'm going to do is just grab the last half of the cylinder. And I am just going to extend that out. pretty sure this is copyrighted music. I mean, YouTube won't give a shit, but I am playing no copyright sounds, and I'm pretty sure I've heard this on mainstream audio somewhere before. So, don't know. Anyway, right. So what I was saying earlier on about this bending over, it doesn't go straight into the fuselage. There is actually a cover. So I'm going to do the bottom piece first. So what I need to do is just grab that and move it up. I'm going to extrude. I'm going to actually, I'm realizing I've just screwed up, but just going to extrude on the work plane so I'm not getting out of there we go, that's better. So I don't want to get everything skewed out of the way at the moment, so I'm just going to use the edge. I'm going to slide that up to there to the bottom of the boot. I'm going to slide this to the midpoint of the transition. And then I am going to scale this flare. And that flare is going to be inside of the sponson anyway. So if I turn the sponson back on, you can kind of see. So that it should merge in there. So what I want to do is ensure that my flare is not coming outside. So if I come down to the top, what it's probably going to be better to do is come through the other side, and with the sponson selected, so it appears, if I go into default view, you can see where the pad is going to hit. Now if I scale that, or if I move it, let's turn the snap off, I can affect the size of the pad and how it touches. So it does look like it's going to be almost a perfect straight line. So I'm kind of guessing, I don't want it to be too big at the moment. If we go back into default, and It's not quite the same angle, but we are following the. So I'm choosing to believe that my right hand view is correct. I'm using that as the master. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bevel this so we get a nicer, smoother transition. So, next bit. So we want to make this so it blends, and it's kind of hard to see it here, but it continues up and then curves over. So I'm just going to go into my work plane. Actually, getting different normals off that, so. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to turn that off. I need to get a decent work plane, so you can see I've screwed up. It's slightly angled. So I am just going to grab that back edge. Sorry, somehow I've dropped on a clanger. And I've scaled. Don't like this. Trying to be consistent, so just want to get a consistent size, so I just make it fix and screw up. Right, so going back to what I'm doing, I was going to get, I need to get a consistent work plane, so I'm just going to drag that edge off. And that now, when I square this up a bit, that will become our work plane for what I want to do next. Again, maybe a better way to do this. I don't know what it is just at the moment, and I just find this is the quickest way. So if I grab that, go on to work plane. So I'm the top view, so I'm going to go up to the front view. And I can now move that up and down. So I'm just going to get a nice clean edge. So extend. Add 3 segments. Turn the work plane off. Go back to the front view. And I absolutely hate doing these because it's a real pain to get anything approaching the real sort of transition. So we're going to turn that over to 15 degrees. And again, 15 degrees for this one. So this is where it starts to deviate from this. If we go back to the picture, it's kind of, let's try and find a better view. You can see it there. It kind of goes all the way up and then sharply arcs 90 degrees in, and then the pad spreads out from there. I'm doing hand gestures here to illustrate this. So what I am going to do, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I don't want to add too many polys in. I'm going to put a slice in there. I'm going to grab all the verts on this apart from the top one. Join them. Oh. Let's go back to the top one there. So there's a couple of ways I can do the next bit, and either of them are odious. So I'm trying geometry, polygon, merge. I'm gonna try and make them as simple as possible. So if I come back to my hull pad, I copy that, and if I turn that now. Sorry, what I was going to do was try and create a polygon and then bridge between them and then smooth, but I don't think that's actually going to work. I am going to have to get a little bit creative, but it's not exactly the way that I was intending on doing it. So I'm going to extrude. See, we're already hitting hull there, and I don't like this. Right, let's see where we go from here. There is better ways to do this, but I'm trying to be precise so it fits into the model and doesn't go mad with polygons, because it will. And I'm not feeling great about this, if I'm being honest. It's an experiment. Let's see what happens. Turn that off because I can't see what I'm actually snapping to. So I am trying, emphasis on the trying, to kind of snap these to polygons, sorry, to verts that sort of mirror like the pads on the or points on the contact pad. I am going to have to add some in. I am going to have to do some like curves and blends. Fully accept that. I'm not feeling comfortable with this, so we may end up going back and doing it a different way. But, you know, it's not the end of the world. Not liking this. I knew this was going to happen. Liking this in the slightest. So I'm going to grab that. Just to remove it. And I'm going to grab that edge again. try this. I don't know how well it's gonna work, but you can see that the polygon, the shape of it isn't exactly right. I kind of think I'm missing something here. I probably am. So we're gonna have to scale to maintain. Where the hell is that? Ooh. Right. I mean, an edge tool, not a vertex tool. Dope. Right. This is gonna look absolutely cack for a while, so bear with me. And we may end up blowing it away and doing something completely different, so, you know, what the hell. So that is the area for the contact pad. And I'm kind of hoping that I've just ballsed up and... no. Right. So let's try this. Because this is what it's all about. I mean, it's... I was about to say it's better, but it's not. That is a nasty... I'm not overly bothered about that as such. But that... So, if we grab that, see, the answer to this may just be I do a partial and then work my way around. I was going to do a bridge originally. See, that top part is exactly what I wanted, but it's all gone a little bit pear-shaped there due to crappy polygon flow. But we can fix that. The underside. Yeah, you can see where it starts to go wrong there. We need to change the way that that's touching that pad. Yeah, I'm not feeling very confident about this, if I'm honest, so... It's right in places, and I guess I can fix that. Just not loving it. I'm just trying to work out what I can actually do now. Because if I grab that, because it's the bevel calculations are all going to rats on the underside. So if I grab these, just dump that on the hull pad for the moment. So let's try and clean up these. Polygon. Right, let's try this. So that's gash. That entire line there is pretty much superfluous. I thought this pink was easier to see, and I'm not sure it is anymore. Right. So we're going to have a little bit of friggin' fry in a minute. Let's do a mesh cleanup. So what I'm going to do is going to try and keep the polyflow similar and see if we can match a few things up. Give me a sec. Oh, shout out to Clemens. He's just liked the Seaking post, so if you're listening, mate, carry on the good work, and I have a list of things I'd like to see in Arma 4. If you want to have a chat about them, I'd love to get you. I'd love to have a conversation. And a request for anybody at BIS that's involved with writing tutorials for the community. Can you please get somebody to write them that doesn't, so that you don't need a PhD in computer science to be able to understand it. It's a common complaint that a number of people I know have had. I have been involved in technology all of my adult life in various ways, and I still don't get my head around quite a lot of what's being asked, so maybe find somebody that isn't a programmer to do it. Just a suggestion. I you can see the line coming through because I'm now looking at the pad underneath. So if I turn, if I get rid of that, screw it, I'm not gonna fight with that. Damn it. So, Mr. Bond, we meet again. It just occurred to me I've not eaten. It's going to be a late one for me anyway. I was only going to do a couple of hours. I think I've been on, don't know, how long is this stream running now? Probably a couple of hours. Yeah, 2 hours, bang on. Wow, what a guess. I'm going to try and get this finished before dipping. You see what I'm trying to do anyway, but it's struggling to get that smooth transition, and I don't know quite how best to do this. I need to add some more polygons in here, but I don't want to. So what I think I'm going to do scale that in about there. I mean, this, to be brutally honest, is definite overkill. It is leaning too far into my tism. It's not absolutely necessary. I could bodge it a lot quicker. And I absolutely have better things to be doing right now, but again, it's just about, well, for me anyway, it's just getting it done properly, or making it look right, or it's devil is in the details, etc. It's, you know, seeing the model getting used, seeing the helo being flown or whatever, and knowing the little details are right, or it adds something to it. I don't know. It's the details that make models, in my opinion. It's like the silly bobbleheads in some of the RHS stuff and whatever. I was working on a project with somebody else, and it was the graffiti in the nation's native language, and we were talking about what what was relevant, and it was something in slang. I can't even remember what the actual thing was, but I was really impressed that somebody who didn't speak Lithuanian, I think it was, because it was a Lithuanian island or Estonian island. I do apologise if I'm fucking it up. I was just hugely entertained to see that they'd actually copied local idioms, and it was kind of apparently a local in-joke. So I just thought that was kind of a nice touch. But everybody that played the map, it's from my Dalvi friends, never even noticed it. I was kind of offended on his behalf. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking there's got to be a better way to do what I want to do or what I need to do. I think I've just worked it out. I don't know. Oh, bugger. Yeah, it's me grabbing on a little bit too hard here that's caused some of the problems, or causing me problems. Half the fun of making these models is working out how to make them anyway, so. Right, so let's see, put snap on the net. Yeah, I'm doing this. I'm making an absolute pig's ear of this. So that's 12 polygons. That's 13 edges, so I can kind of live with that. Edge 27. So I need to lose 3 to match anyway without adding stuff in. Shoot me now.
I'm alone, I'm a broken home. I gave you all the bricks that I own and know. I'm letting go, I'm breaking these walls down, breaking these
There we go.
If you want adventure, then fly to home. But if you wanna travel, then go alone. Yeah, what's the point in us if I never
Oh,
know?
you monk.
If you're gonna leave, I'ma let you go. I'm tired of the pain. Go
I can't believe it took me that long to figure that one out. Damn. Shit. Let's just get rid of that. Because, yeah. So I want to keep hold of those and get rid of that. Just turn that off. But right. I can't believe I didn't think of this before. I'm just, yeah. I am kicking myself, which is why I'm a bit quiet. Hmm. That was dumb. Yeah, I have really balls that. Yeah, every way that I've thought to approach this, I've screwed it up, so... I'm annoyed. It's taking longer than it should be. Disappearing into my own head to do, thinking about stuff not on this anyway. Thinking about things to do tomorrow and jobs. So I apologise. I'm definitely not being entertaining or informative. So that looks better.
Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this
Extend.
overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now.
I think this song just repeats in this playlist about 5 times.
Broken hearts and starting fights, turning truth to lies. Gotta get up, stop wasting time. Yeah, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out.
I went to a primary school whose motto was, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And honestly, it's true. If at first you don't succeed, try again.
River flowing deep, don't wanna leave the air you breathe. Living with you,
Right.
think of you and me. Don't wanna leave the world you see, and I will hold you down if love is still alive. It's all
So, if I'm gonna say if I'm correct, I'm not correct, but yeah, not loving this. Pretty sure, I don't know. Right. So, I'm just going to smooth the verts. So we've got a bit of an issue in that. There we go. Screw it, we're keeping that. Yeah, I'm not feeling very accomplished right now. I used to blast away at these models. I guess as the quality of the model increases, the time it takes to make them is a lot higher. But yeah, don't I feel a bit. I feel a bit stupid. Kind of amused that I used to do this for a living and now I'm struggling. So. Spending too much time in an office. Definitely not my cleaner's job. See, that's just subdivided. That looks a little bit tidier. It looks alright. I'm a little bit annoyed with myself, but we are, where are we? We are 2 hours 42 in, so I'm going to call it there. It's not gone the way that I was expecting it to go. I don't think it looks too bad, but I'll do the little mini wing inside offline because I really need to go and pee. It's getting there. It's kind of taking shape. We need to cut out the landing gear and whatever, but it's that little curve that has been my downfall. Doesn't even look right, does it? Oh, maybe that's the other way to do it, is just go back and scrap it and I don't know. Yeah, that front needs to come out and curve, because regardless of that pad, I'm not sure that that's the proper way to do it. The countermeasures hanger doesn't really help. Oh, I don't know. There you go. It's kind of square. That doesn't look too inaccurate. I've just realised, yeah, I need a damn good slap. Yeah, it's alright. It's not the end of the world. It's something that I can't regret later. I've just worked out how the easier way to do it was, and I'm feeling really, really stupid. Yeah, I'm gonna call it there, guys. Thank you very much. I hope me screwing up inspires something or helps with something that you've been making or doing, or just cheered you up. I don't know. Nobody's perfect, and I'm definitely not. There you go. Have fun. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your day whenever you're listening to this. And thanks for taking a look at the stream. Alright, bye bye.